Hey, I'm here with Zachary. What's up, man?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. You want to intro yourself real quick?
Yeah, I am Zachary Terry. I am the author of Legacy of the Cursed Blood, Volume 1 and 2.
Yeah, and we're here to talk a little bit more specifically about not just the individual books, but the whole world. So I've got a couple questions I want to go through here, and we're going to work, big concepts down to very specific character concepts here. And I think it'll be a really fun conversation. You ready for it?
Let's do it.
All right. So first question I have for you: how much research went into bringing your setting to life, and then what was the most like surprising detail that you kind of discovered or pulled out of that as you were writing the novels about like the setting and the world in general?
That's a good question. uh, I'd say one thing I'm definitely researching and still researching currently actually is more mythology of like various cultures, and I'm trying to take inspiration like Greek Greek mythology, Japanese mythology, and folklore especially. I believe I have some like Hindu mythology in there, Buddhism a little bit in there, just various mythologies and cultures I'm trying to bring in, kind of put my own spin on it as well. Surprising I found out, kind of I discovered along the way, and as I continue my series, is there's a hierarchy in my novel. So like certain characters, and as I flesh out more, so I'm gonna use Star Wars as my example, my analogy. So like Darth Vader was thought to be the big bad, which to a lot of people he is the big bad. Then you've got the Emperor. It's like, oh, there's someone stronger who keeps the strongest guy in check. So I explored that.
Right.
Another surprising detail I'd say is and this actually kind of came to me recently, I don't have to give a long history lesson. And by that, I mean, in book 1, I present that in my series, there is a war between humans and Eternals, which are more like vampire inspired. My own take on vampires, if you will. Humans and Eternals, it's spanned for thousands of years. Well, thousands of years is a long time. And most of the characters are just, we're at war. This is war. This is something, this is every day to them. This is the life they live. This is just how they exist. Now, I have plans to explore the past, of course. I can't just leave all that in the dark, but like, is it really important to explore what happened spend a great deal amount what happened 500 years, or should what's happening now? Because my characters are living in the now and they're moving to the future, not worrying about what's in the past so much. That's kind of a detail I've actually recently discovered.
I love that. And that actually leads really, really well into my next question. Because Zachary, I need you to be honest here. I need you to level with us.
Okay.
Do you have like a world map that you have nerded out over, or a history that you have written somewhere that didn't make it into the story that you hoped can like come to light someday? And can you give us a few tidbits?
I have a confession, actually. Yes, I have cut a great deal that did not make it into the story. I would love it to make it in, but I would have to heavily tweak it. Okay, so confession time. So my book, as I'm sure anyone who picks it up and reads it, I'm sure they're going to all agree is, and you can see from my poster in the back, I'm a massive anime and manga nerd. I love it. My book is inspired by anime and manga. And I fell into the trap of average American guy writes anime without knowing complete fundamentals of Japanese culture.
There you go.
Like, my story doesn't take place in Japan. So why do all my characters have Japanese names? Let's fix that. So I backtracked a lot, cut a lot of that. I did actually go to Japan this year, actually, just a couple months ago, and I did pick up some books on like Japanese culture, mythology, folklore I mentioned, which does have an influence and a place in my book, but like I am trying to put my own spin on it, and also I am intermingling it with other cultures and stuff, not just focusing on Japanese. Some characters, some of my own characters were combined. Others I've kind of cut back, but I will explore. I do plan on bringing some in to the future. There's one scene in particular in book 2, actually, the one that has just been published. There's one scene in particular near the beginning, I believe it's in chapter 2, and the characters all kind of go to sit down and to eat, basically. It's like a dinner scene. And originally they sat down, removed their shoes, which if you know, that's like important in Japanese cultures, remove your shoes once you enter. Sit down, eat their favorite dishes, Japanese dishes. And again, story takes place in Japan. Why? So I kind of realized that didn't make much sense. So yeah, lots of cutting. I also had multiple drafts for different settings. Just a random one for one. So how my story is established, humanity has like different districts, which if you've like seen if you've watched or read the Hunger Games, how the different districts, only mine are like kind of north, south, east, and west, and like they're kind of more of a state, and within all the states they're like more like villages. And everything in between is like a wasteland. And originally the whole air was poisonous.
Oh, okay.
I kind of want to explore that a little bit. Don't know if I'll get to it.
Right.
As I said, lots of Japanese, Greek culture, mythology. I wanted to bring in. So I will say that there is a how do I put this? So originally what was kind of cut back a bit, but I have explored it a tiny bit, is I wanted to make the gods of the story play a more direct role. Didn't work out as much in my drafts, so I kind of cut back. But there will be a punishment of the gods in book 2, actually, you'll learn about. So I have revised that a bit, if you will.
Yeah, I love it. And that's the thing, is like, man, I'm the same way. If I'm being perfectly honest, I may or may not have done a layout of one of the main cities of one of my works in progress on grid paper. And when you lay it out, it takes up like the whole floor because it's so in depth. I may have a map like that. So I understand the writer's urge to like have so much that you then have to be like, can't use it, but man, here it is if anyone's curious. And you just kind of hope that someday someone is curious, or you can get it out in the world some way. And so I love to hear when there's so much stuff that's like on the cutting room floor, but it's all stuff that is still realistically part of the story. You just don't have yet. You know what I mean? Keyword being yet, because I'm the person that loves to read the lore that has nothing to do with the story. I want to hear about what's going on 6 states away and how that affected this specific moment, even though I don't need to. I love knowing anyways. So I love that. So with that, and knowing you had to cut a bunch of things, you had to adjust some things as you're writing and cutting and rewriting and editing and rewriting some more. Was there a point in the story that you just really had to struggle and wrestle with what to do or where to go next?
Oh my gosh, yes. So funny story. For book 2, I struggled the most. So kind of the synopsis of book 2 is the characters have to partake in these trials, these basically merciless tests to join the Knights, the order that fights the Eternals. And I struggled for the longest time to come up with the most important part of the story, the trials themselves. Like, what should they be about? What should they, represent? All that. I have 3 trials in mind. The third one was always the same. I won't reveal what they are. The third one was always going to be the same. So that one was locked in. The first 2, oh man, they took, I think I have in total maybe 14 different revisions of just the trials themselves. It was bad. And I think so. Hopefully, I have succeeded in what I have come up with. But oh man, and then I also looked at different stories that help inspired me on other kind of trial or events. I know My Hero has the sports festival, for example. Naruto has the tuning exam. The tests you have to pass to become in your faction.
Yep.
I kind of saw what they did, how the different tests they got through, the character arcs they go through, and I tried to create my own without taking directly from any of those works.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said, hopefully I've succeeded in that. Another aspect I struggled with a little bit. I think I have a little bit of an idea, or a better idea, I should say, now, is actually how should my main character proceed? How should he how should he grow without remaining the same? Like, I don't want him to be stagnant, of course, for the whole series. He needs to grow as well. So I need, and kind of by that, I mean, as he's making decisions, a part of me is worried about, so this could be me overthinking, but a small part of me is like, okay, where have I heard this character? Where have I heard this trope before? Where have I heard that? Like, okay, the character having my character make a decision. Wait a minute, hasn't 5 other characters made this decision? It's probably just a me problem. But I typically spend way too much time just thinking about that, and it causes it might even cause writer's block. I was because I'm trying to just overthink, overcome something else, think of something else. I'm just so I'm just kind of write the story I want to write and figure out the best approach of how my character will proceed without completely being influenced by his inspirations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And I know, again, every writer probably is you struggle with something in their story, right? Hearing where you struggled specifically is always fascinating. And to hear, for all the writers out there, that you kept the drafts, even though they weren't the ones that you ended up using.
I have them.
Critical,
they're bad.
Because you never know when you actually go, you know what? Draft 4 was a banger. And I was just doubting myself. Now that I've written through it several times, I need to go back to that. But if you had just erased it, it's gone for good, right?
That's true.
And even what you kind of mentioned of hitting on different tropes and not wanting to fall into tropes, but sometimes the characters write themselves, right? And so I've had in my books where I was, outlined it, and the plan was for, let's say character A to make the sacrifice play, okay? But then as I'm writing, I have realizations about this character that if I have them follow through with my original outline, I will be falling into what I would consider a negative trope, because I was writing and I realized this character is struggling with their sexuality and I can't have them make the sacrifice play and be the typical gay scapegoat, right? Now I can't fall into that trope. And the whole reason I was doing it to begin with, because I had a character who his entire thing was wanting to protect everyone. And I was like, well, that's too obvious. I don't want him to be the one, you know what I mean? And it's well, no, sometimes that's the way that character is, right? And so dealing with the tropes, and sometimes you realize you're trying to escape one trope and you end up falling into a worse one, and so you have to balance that out, and it's really hard. And so we should struggle with some of these things for good reasons, and sometimes we overthink, and that's okay too, you know.
I have one character. Well, there's one character in particular. Anyone who reads my book is probably going to know exactly what I'm talking about right now. One character I created with the intention you would hate them, but you would love them by the end. Anyone who reads it probably knows exactly what I'm talking about, because he does fall under a certain trope. I just said I revealed his gender. They do fall under a certain trope. Yeah.
And that's just how it goes sometimes. The characters really do write themselves, and tropes aren't always bad. They exist because they are enjoyable, right? We have enjoyed hearing stories like that enough that we can now recognize it as a key thing that we can point out. And so we're already talking about characters. So let's dive in a little bit deeper. Do you have any specific inspirations for any of your specific characters? But more specifically, your main characters.
Oh man, I do. So my main character, Zane, is inspired by a little bit of Harry Potter. You could throw in some Naruto, maybe some Tanjiro there. I wouldn't say he's like a goody like Tanjiro, Deku, but I wouldn't say he's like mischievous or, let's be honest, an idiot like Naruto. I'd say he has a good heart like them. Daring, like when I made Zane, courage was one of my biggest. I wanted, like, for example, he has the power of fire, and how I see his fire is I see his burning like courage, and Harry Potter's all about courage, you know. My deuteragonist Soken, potential spoiler alert. He is inspired by Sasuke right there in the back on the poster. Anakin Skywalker from Star Wars, bit of Zuko in there. Honorable mentions: Kawaki from Boruto, Killua from Hunter x Hunter. I probably have just spoiled his entire character arc, maybe. But, he's, the whole best fighter, strongest warrior type of character, the brooding friend with the dark past, darker personality, the edgelord. Kind of like the one who kind of is the opposite of the hopeful protagonist. Right. They're almost, they're butting heads type of thing, the rival character, if you will. There are a few more. I'd probably honestly really spoil a huge plot in book 2 if I say who my female character is inspired by. So I will leave that one out. But I will say most fans will know. I won't say which anime. You'll know. You'll know.
Just read it. All right, you'll find out.
You'll find out.
Yeah, I love it, and So I always think it's interesting to ask this question for writers, because for me, I realized as I was writing in another work in progress, I'm sitting there writing this character, and I realized the decision I'm about to have him make is one that I would make, and I had this epiphany of like, did I just write myself into my own story? And so you're like, did I accidentally just do this? But actually, in one of my works in progress, I had try not to spoil anything too much, but I have like a character who is a non-human character, who was strongly inspired by like my childhood pet. And so like even in the goofiest ways, you're like, it's a little homage to a pet that I loved so much when I was growing up. That's and awesome. So I always love to hear how some of these characters kind of get inspired, and how they end up becoming part of the story to begin with. Like I said, I never intended to write a pet character, right? I never had that like on the outline, but as I was going through, it became like this fun little dynamic that popped up. And going back to our question earlier, yes, I have pages and pages of lore how this character came to be and everything. And so it's just fun to hear how all those characters get inspired. And I've mentioned before in other things about how I will, take characters and put them in like a Dungeons and Dragons and create a Dungeons and Dragons character for them or a Skyrim character for them and play things. And then the number of times where I will be going through and then I'll like meet another character either in a game or like in Skyrim and run into an NPC and be like, hold up. I think that's this character. Like, I just realized I think I was inspired by this one. So it's always a blast to hear about that.
I will say that I know I said I wasn't going to spend too much time on the past, but I do have a history lesson in book 2. I have a history lesson, an engaging history lesson. It's engaging. I made sure it was engaging.
You're like, I had an editor confirm with me.
I had an editor confirm. I grossed her out with that engaging history lesson.
I love that. Again, some little hidden lore there. I love it.
I'm a huge fan of lore.
Oh man, and that's one thing you and I have said. We could talk forever about it. So, in the spirit of trying to not take up everyone's time, obviously, the reason we write is not just because we have a story that needs to get out there, but because we have a story that we feel like needs to be shared, right? And so, with that, there's something we hope or expect people to walk away from our stories with. So, Zachary, what is something you hope or expect readers to walk away with after reading your story, interacting with the characters, kind of embodying the setting of these books?
I'd say, so my biggest thing is I hope, this sounds so cliche, but my biggest thing is I hope readers enjoy my story and like my characters, my journey. Like I said, I love characters. I love making my characters. I love trying to flesh them out as often as I can. So I hope that they enjoy these characters and their journey. My setting takes place in the world of war. Like that's kind of the whole, at the end of the day, they are kids fighting in a war. So I hope everyone can agree war is bad. So I hope they care enough about the characters and their goals in seeking to end the war. I hope that readers remember my characters, and they kind of linger in their heads. It's not just like a finish the book, forget about them tomorrow type of situation. Like I said, I try to flesh them out as much as I can. And I don't want to do a simple good versus evil story. I like to complicate things, gradually show that the world isn't so black and white. I've made the joke numerous times, like saying that I want my characters to feel like the reader has adopted them, like as they're their own children, only for me to like rip them away in the most like horrible ways. And also just so it's not super depressing, also to make, in that feeling of like you become attached to these characters, that it makes their triumphs that much more rewarding. So I'd say that's what, like, hopefully just enjoyment overall. Seeing the world isn't so black and white, seeing the importance of, things like, again, not to sound so cliche, the importance of friendship, honor, not giving in. Like I have a lot of I'm trying to think of the term, like individualism versus I almost said companionism.
I'm trying to think of what word you're going for too, and I'm drawing a blank, so I'm not helping much.
But yes, let's go with that.
We know what we're talking about. Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like working together versus like pushing everyone away.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Like I've felt pain, but not me personally. Like I'm talking about the characters. I've felt pain. Do I accept others and risk having more pain, or do I push everyone away and make a wall and eliminate that way of pain, but therefore eliminate any bonds I have with making any more relationships?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and that's the thing. Every author has something, whether they intend it or not. Every writer is telling a story, not because it's a fun story to share, but because they want something, they want people to get something out of it, right? You mentioned like the story of Harry Potter, right? It's about courage. You know what I mean? So like that's the thing that like when you boil it down, the essence that you're like, the thing that we want to take away is courage, right? And so it's always fascinating to hear what different writers are hoping or expecting people to take away from their stories, because you could totally and the beauty of it, right, is what you intend and what you hope may be wildly different from what they take away. And that's like kind of the beautiful thing about the writing process, the authorship and publication process, and then of course being the person on the other side of the book, being the reader and like engaging with someone's story, is how you can come at completely different angles, completely different walks of life, engage with the same characters, same story, same words, and walk away with two completely different interpretations of the book. And
Absolutely.
it's like, it's such a cool thing to experience. And so we can talk so much more about all this, Zachary, and you and I specifically have and can talk more about this, but in the spirit of keeping this less rambling and more structured, we will try and end on that note. Zachary, do you have anything you want to share, or where can people like find you on the social medias? I'm old and I don't know which ones people use anymore, but where can they find you if they want to track you down or track down more about your books?
All right, let's see. I'm gonna list them all. I've got Facebook. It's under Zachary Terry. I've got Instagram and Snapchat. That is Zach_Terry97. I've got TikTok, that is ZTerry97, and you can find my books, Legacy of the Cursed Blood, Volumes 1 and 2, on Amazon for paperback, book 2 for paperback, Kindle, and hardcover, and then book 1 so far, paperback and Kindle, and ebook TBD.
Yeah, perfect.
Or ebook, sorry, hardcover TBD.
Hardcover.
That's what I meant.
And book 3 TBD.
And book 3 TBD. I am working on. I have a series planned. I'm here for the long run.
Yes.
So hopefully books 1 and 2 are liked enough, but book 3 is on the way. TBD.
Yeah, we love it. Barely published.
My goal is to impress as many people as I can.
I love it. All right, Zachary, it's been so good talking with you, man. I appreciate you, and everyone who is watching. Thank you for sitting and hearing Zachary and I yap for a little while. We hope you got some cool stuff out of it. We hope you will engage and read Legacy of the Cursed Blood Volumes 1 and 2. Volume 1, we are working on having on a super sale. And because we want you guys to be able to get Volume 1 in as quickly as possible so that you can start diving into Volume 2. So, again, like Zachary said, you can check out everything on Amazon. If you look up Zachary Terry on Amazon, you will find his books, I promise. All right. See you guys.